We may see some today. It looks like we're about to get ready here. The 3 weapons that they're on, of course, we have things like the GᴙAVy and the Flings-A-Roller. Could we see any today? Let's find out. And there indeed is one being played by GᴙAVy. It is the Flings-A-Roller, so expect to see some Tenna missiles out on the field today.
We have a lot of annoyance, especially from the Hydra right here. That Charger must make sure that the Hydra's down, or at least call them out. Okay, Hydra's all around left. Do not pick them, whatever you do. But Hydra's very much on the ground right now. Very, very courageous of them to do that.
However, what an immaculate bomb. That nearly got the Splat there. It just rolled a little bit too far. They had just enough to get away from. Now we see NM here on the hero shot, which if you're confused or haven't played through the story mode, is in the exact same kit as the regular splatter shot. We are going to see the Flings in here get a pick onto Todd, and now pushing forward here is another Splat there onto NM. So the first push is going to go to GᴙAVy and the members of GᴙAVy, as of course you want to have your anchor on the tower in these situations.
Yes, especially the Heavy. The Heavy will be a moving machine gun right now happening, and we definitely need GᴙAVy to go up on top right and bother somebody, because right now they're all on left and they're getting pushed in. With that, there's 3 down happening on GᴙAVy, and they're going to get a wipeout.
Unbelievable. There are lots of folks who say that while it has a high skill floor, the Trizooka has an incredibly high skill ceiling, and that was exhibited beautifully there as we see a triple KO from that splatter shot, able to also get GᴙAVy before they jumped out too, and that of course being the Neo, or not the Neo, but the Splash-O-Matic there. Again, we've talked about the burst bomb and the crab tank. That's another just oppressive weapon that they have at their disposal. This is a scary composition from Splat Force 3.
Right now, every single one of them is in their spinner right now, and the Charger needs to grab tower. As soon as I say that, they grab it, but right now there's only 1 down. Can GᴙAVy keep up with the immense pressure right now as the tower is moving?
It's tough. I mean, we saw GᴙAVy make that incredible push, or they're attempting one right now. We can see if they have enough room to wiggle around, and they're employing the same strategy. They have their Charger this time on the tower. It is very tough to avoid suction bombs, by the way, because you can think that you're out of the way by standing on the opposite side of that pillar, but it really can encompass the entire tower, and unfortunately they were not able to move out of the way as we see multiple Splats on the opposite side of the tower. That's going to result in GᴙAVy carrying on this push and making it to the second checkpoint.
Right now, a 2v4 situation, but hopefully GᴙAVy's team can get in and push in immensely. Only 1 down right now. The Charger needs to back up because too many teammates are dying for them, and they need to be a good jump for them.
Now the Junior doing what the Junior does, trying to be very evasive and build up that bubbler as quickly as they can. It's going to be a 2v2, the shortest and the longest range weapon on the side of Splat Force 3 versus a couple others on the side of GᴙAVy, which is going to result in more neutrality. The Tacticooler coming out, that was a very hyped up special before Splatoon launched, and now it's kind of found its place in the meta as sort of a middle of the ground special. You are spotted out when you have the buff, but the buff it provides is a lot for people to bring it onto their team composition.
Right now, GᴙAVy can either stay in mid on top of the mid spinner or onto snipe and just be as annoying as possible, because the Charger cannot reach on the other side. It is not an E-leader. And hopefully, maybe the Charger can go in and get 1 or 2 picks, especially GᴙAVy here. They need to lock out GᴙAVy in order to get into the spinner and get the lead.
Great job there. There was a 2-down situation forced, I believe, by our Flings in here. I think that's Todd who's looking for another one. They're going to find the rollover, and they're going to take down Avril, the Charger, and barely avoid the Splat Bomb. And above all of that, they're going to have those Tenna missiles. A lot of folks would move back to fire those Tenna missiles off, and the Flings in here, OBT rather, has said, just kidding, we're not going to even need it. Let's continue to push forward. Let's use that momentum. They're going to get splatted, unfortunately, by the Crab user here right before they pop Crab, and that is such a difficult special to take down unless you can get behind them or unless you're a Charger player.
Really great Crab there, being annoying to the Hydra and also getting a 1 pick as well. But unfortunately will go down. The Heavy here is getting too many good picks. They're all going down. GᴙAVy really, really needs to come back, gain some turf, and get their specials.
You can hear Splat Force 3 going nuts when they get those wipeout situations like we saw there. GᴙAVy setting up on the tower, and that's exactly where you don't want them to be. Perfectly placed big bubbler is also going to stop them from entering into where that checkpoint would be, so they really have to wait for the members of Splat Force 3 to push forward or for those specials to run out. And unfortunately, that timer has caused a 2-down situation. They now just have their splash and their charger, their splatter scope at the ready, and now finally it looks like they're starting to form some form of resistance, although OBT hasn't even moved up and is still creating problems with that Flings of Roller.
Hopefully GᴙAVy will get them all off the tower right here. And maybe one of them will touch.
The touch of the tower from the winning team indicating that the match is done as they went into overtime. A relatively strong performance there from Splat Force 3, and I think your original call out about that Hydra ended up proving to be very accurate. That is one of the weapons. When I looked at the kits for Splatoon 3 and saw Auto Bomb and Booyah Bomb on that thing, along with all of the range that it can provide, I was terrified, and GᴙAVy proved exactly why the enemy team should be.
It's a very, very situational to happen in this match, where if you do not get any of the anchors, especially a Hydra or an E-Leader, you cannot peek, which is so hard for your frontliner because they can't go in and get their kills because they're getting picked off so easily by the Hydra. And it's such an unfortunate situation, but we are still not done with this set. We still have about 4 more games to go if they do a reverse sweep.
We did see it go to Game 5 last set. We're hoping that we can see it again, trying to move forward here and have our next map mode combination push forward here. GᴙAVy doing a great job there. It looks like it was actually GᴙAVy's team, GᴙAVy, that was the winner there. So sorry for the confusion about that as you saw there on the graphic. But we're going to be moving forward to game number 2. And we've seen this play out multiple times now where for backline, some teams choose Splatlings, some teams are choosing Chargers. And the preferences there and the benefits that they give are appealing for a lot of different reasons. You mentioned painting before. Splatlings do a fantastic job of, for being a long-range weapon, covering a fair bit of turf, while for Chargers, you shoot in a straight line, and you have to be very, very careful with your positioning because if somebody's right on top of you, it's going to be tough to get out.
Exactly. It's very easy to back up your frontliner or whoever's pushing it and getting their kills. It's easy to rush in. Not as easy it is for a Charger. A Charger can be stationary and sit there and get picks, but it's up to the frontliner to go in. And as we're saying that, we're into our next match.
So it's going to be GᴙAVy in the gold or yellow, and the members of Splat Force 3 Revenge of the Splat in purple. As we see for compositions, a Splattershot Pro come out. Now that is a weapon that a lot of folks have seen as a bit underwhelming. It does have very strong range and a very good 3-shot KO or splat, but the sub-weapon that it has, the angle shooter, is tough to master. It is one that requires a lot of precision and only does 30 damage when hitting a target, although it does mark them. And as you know, marking provides great benefits.
So many going on. There's so many different picks going off. It's only just the backliners and one other help. But it looks like Splat Force is going in for that main push, able to not get it, but right now, left is the optimal way of going in and getting the first checkpoint.
In Splat 3, even more than in other games, you have to be super cognizant of getting those 2 and 3 down situations before you push, or be very confident in your abilities. And sometimes you don't know where to look, because we see the hero shot fall. It's going to be 2 down on the side of Splat Force 3. The members of GᴙAVy regaining the bridge in mid, and smart move there to place that suction bomb in advance of the Rainmaker shield coming up so that they can have that popped even quicker. Of course, it will not be Bosin who runs with the Rainmaker as they have to get their Trizuka off first. They look like may have found 1 KO in Avril, and that could allow them to push forward a little bit. Although GᴙAVy being very bold, getting that lead and still moving forward. They haven't been taken out, and they actually make it all the way to the checkpoint. I thought that was going to be very scary as there was still a lot of ink present, but they end up causing a 3 down, and now it'll be the Hydra pushing forward again as they get echolocated, but still have lots to work with.
As much as I think it's great getting the lead and making sure that your teammates are there. But I really do think the Hydra should not be grabbing it, as they are the backliner. They are the one that teammates are jumping into. And Hydra should be at top, being annoying as possible. And right now, it looks like Splat Force is getting back turf, getting lead, getting into mid, and being annoying as possible.
If you hadn't seen it there about 10 seconds ago, that's what the arrows look like when you are buffed by the Tactical Ore. That is going to be the special present on this weapon from NM, the NZAP 85, which was early on, especially in the Splatfest and in the early tests of Splatoon 3, a very popular weapon. We see the first pick now of this push going against the Splattershot Junior, so they're not going to have their big bubbler. But on the opposite side of things, they will cause even more damage, so 2 more fall. So now GᴙAVy attempting more pushes to go forward here. Now, because of a flank, Splat Force 3 able to retain some of that momentum. Avril did have the Rainmaker for a short time period, and unfortunately went down there. Todd using the Trizuka as well to not only try to get picks, but because they see that the big bubbler is out, try and pop the Rainmaker shield with it, which is a good enough strategy.
Too much of a preventative bubble right there. I think they should have just kept that a little bit longer and maybe pushed in with left or right, whichever one it works for them. But right now, they need to wait for their flings to come back. They're popping off specials just a little bit too tad early right now, but they're not getting any sort of picks, and Rainmaker will go down because of that.
It was GᴙAVy again who elected to carry the Rainmaker for their team. They and the Splattershot going down, so now Splat Force 3 looking to find some more momentum. A minute and a half left to go, and they are about to clear what was their best push of the day so far at 83. They've now gotten up to 74. The Crab helping things a lot. They spot out the Flingza, but the Flingza actually gets the splat on them instead. That's 1, make it 2 against the members of Splat Force 3. Nice job there by OBT to lock things down. I wouldn't necessarily think of Flingza as a flanking weapon all the time, but as a class, rollers do that job very well. So great job by OBT to help make that push happen, or stop happening as we get under the minute mark.
Right now we have Cooler going off, and hopefully they're able to get at least the Hydra on top right now, but they're slowly going down. Maybe the Charger has to back up and wait for their teammates to jump right in.
Going to be really important here that GᴙAVy at least pop their special before picking up the Rainmaker if that's what they want to do. It's not necessary, as there's 30 seconds left and GᴙAVy does have the lead, and they're likely saving that Booyah Bomb for any last minute push from Splat Force 3. So that is priority target number 1 if you're the team that is down. Here come the Tentamissiles on the side of the Flingza. OBT trying to get the member that's marked there by the Tactical Ore, but they end up retreating, and a retreat is just as well for GᴙAVy. If there's no final push, then that just means it'll be a 2-0 lead for GᴙAVy. We see Avril using that ink vac, trying to break the Rainmaker shield. Jimmy also coming to their defense, but it's too much ink and painting done by GᴙAVy to hold on to their lead, and they will take a 2-0 lead in this set.
Very unfortunate, the very last 30 seconds. Splat Force was slowly getting picked off one by one. The Splattershot went down, came back, and then another one went down, came back as well, and it was just the E-Leader and the Charger and another to try to pop. Also, with the Charger, with their vacuum, great vacuums, but unfortunately were easily shut out when there is too much happening for the Charger and only one person to back them up with their vacuum.
Yeah, Sturgeon Shipyard, a map that, like a lot of the Splatoon 2 ported maps, didn't receive a lot of changes going into Splatoon 3 other than making sure that they were equipped for the changes in the modes, namely that the Rainmaker had a checkpoint pedestal and, of course, the placement of the clams. Speaking of clams, that will be our 3rd map and mode combination on Inkblot Art Academy, yet another Splatoon 2 port. But with maps like this, they have a bit more familiarity. A lot of these folks have only had the game in their hands for under a month. They've really had to work hard in that month to grind out what weapons they wanted to focus on and see, especially if that was a different weapon from any game that they'd played before, Splatoon 1 or 2, master that weapon and make sure that it fit in with their composition and had a defined role. So really, if you're playing a Splatoon 2 map like they have been these last couple of sets, it may even be an advantage. And speaking of advantages, Splat Force 3 really needs one if they want to avoid the sweep.
And still again with that charger right now. Charger with the vacuum on clams is an easy way, especially on ink block, to push in. When someone has a super, you have to help them with the vacuum to make sure they're not getting killed, no one's getting picked off. But right now, GᴙAVy helping in and getting 2 picks off right now. And Splat Force is getting extremely pushed in, but there is absolutely no super clam to go with this.
Yeah, to quickly talk about abilities, you may notice that on a lot of chargers, they have an ability, as we see the first push started from GᴙAVy, they have an ability called Respawn Punisher, and that means when they get a splat, it takes even longer for the enemy to respawn, with the punishment of you also take longer to respawn. And you'll notice GᴙAVy on that Hydra Splatling doesn't have that on their clothing. They have run speed instead, which a lot of Hydras need. They need that extra running mobility because they're up on their feet a lot with their weapon. The push in and of itself is going to be relatively short, just 4 clams thrown in besides the power clam for GᴙAVy, but any lead is going to be a strong lead here, as we saw with Splat Force 3 not really getting anything going in that last game or as of yet.
And right now, even though coolers popped off, and only about 1 or 2 picked them up, but the charger is getting a 1 or 2 picks right now, and it looks like OBT is just backing off and looking for 1 or 2 picks, but they really, really need that charger to go down if they want to counter this push.
The way that the Baller was a great initiator in Splatoon 2 for Clam Blitz, they're starting to use the ink back this way so that you have a little bit of reprieve from the fire coming in, because you can see just how close on a map like this one the barrier is from their spawn. The barrier getting broken, that's going to be the lead for Splat Force 3, and they have more clams at their disposal, at least 3 that they're trying to put in. It's Todd on the front line, and now Jimmy trading off and trading clams with each other, and M following suit as well. You can see how little actual control they have to work with in terms of turf, but they did a phenomenal job of passing those clams around and making sure they got to the closest person to the pedestal.
Very smart for the charger to back up right there, realizing their teammates are slowly dying off. Okay, I have to back off. I have to get at least 1 or 2 pick, or make sure they're not pushing it extremely. But it looks like right now GᴙAVy is ready to get in and popping off specials. They have their junior bubbler right now, and they need to use that in order to get a decent lead farther ahead than Splat Force.
That was the Booyah Bomb engaged there, as you saw on the overhead. OBT not going to have anywhere to go on that uninkable surface wall, so they're going to go down. In addition to the junior, GᴙAVy having to back off, and now Splat Force 3, who is feeling a bit of pressure in mid, reclaims it and has at least 1 special, now 2 at their disposal. So they have the Crab Tank, not even going to pop it in order to take down GᴙAVy, because if a charge isn't primed for your Hydra, you're going to have a tough time tap shining someone, arguably even more than a charger. Now Jimmy taking out the Crab. It does a phenomenal job, as you can see, of just mowing down that bubbler, trying to push forward and take out Pac. Pac goes down according to a teammate. They find 1 more there. It's OBT. They are not going to fall, though. OBT hiding there in the ink and able to take them out, but that will be a stop to what could have been a pretty strong extension there, and it was only just a minor one.
Very good stop, too, from GᴙAVy right here. And right now, GᴙAVy needs to help everyone else by being aggro as much, but unfortunately goes down to the splatter shot. Can the splatter shot get maybe 1 or other 2 picks?
Todd playing rather bold there, just firing at the Booyah Bomb when they have a lot of armor, but sometimes if they don't notice you, that's one of the best ways that you can try to deal with them. Avoiding the bomb there placed by the individual that they were able to take out, which I believe was Pac. Now moving forward here, the Trizuka available this time on the side of GᴙAVy as they look for an opening to try and pressure that charger, which they do. They're going to end up taking down the charger. Avril looking for another one who's spawning in, but that's already 3 down as GᴙAVy looks to make this the push that gives them the lead. They have 8, now 12, now 13 clams. 8 is all they need to make the power clam as they pass it to Boshin. Boshin with just enough time to break the barrier before they fall. You'll also notice that the big bubbler doesn't just serve as a shield, but it serves as a beacon if anyone has time to jump to it. 1 power clam here would actually tie them with what the amount Splat Force 3 was able to put up. Unfortunately, not able to get to that point. They will incur a small penalty, but more than that, time is not on their side.
1, 2, or 3 super clams right now. Super footballs would graciously help Splat Force right now and making sure that they get the set back, right? And they also need vacuum. Vacuum will be so perfect pushing in right as soon as 3 are down for GᴙAVy. But unfortunately, GᴙAVy is actually coming in with their own different push but they don't have a super clam. Absolutely nobody here has a super clam, unless it's GᴙAVy.
They were able to break the barrier, but that's going to be a full wipe. Do they have enough clams? Can they get it in time before somebody spawns? The first one to spawn is going to be the hero shot, followed by the Splat-O-Matic. They have 10 to go through, and they need 4 clams in essence, or power clam, and they have it. They take the power clam, they take the lead, and they steal the match away from Splatforce 3. What could have been the start of a beautiful reverse sweep has instead become the crowning achievement of the redemption pool here for GᴙAVy, and if nothing else, they've taken away a beautiful 3-game sweep from these redemption pools.